Sports fans, welcome back to the sports world. It's been a busy week in sports, and we've got a lot to talk about. No place better to start than the much-maligned Carson Palmer. Last week, he came in the second half. Surprise visit from Carson Palmer. Gave you 3 interceptions just in the second half alone. Kyle Boller in the first half, 3 interceptions. They combined for a Jamarcus Russell-esque performance of 6 interceptions. This is something that Raiders fans cringe at when they hear Jamarcus Russell. But don't worry, Raiders fans. Carson Palmer won't be a new Jamarcus Russell. You give up a first-round pick, a conditional second-round pick. This guy isn't a scrum off the streets. Well, actually, he kind of is. Not talent-wise, but he hasn't played in the NFL level since training camp, besides the only 3 days he had to prepare for the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. This guy hasn't played in an NFL level. He only knew 15 plays of the playbook, and he had absolutely no rapport with his receivers. If you look at the interceptions, it wasn't that he was out of shape or anything, or talent wasn't there. It's that timing was completely off, plays were completely wrong, receivers were breaking, and Carson Palmer thought they were going to break a second later or 2 seconds later. It's something that this just comes with time. It's not that Carson Palmer's bad. The bye week really was going to help him this week in order to get the time, get the great rapport with the receivers, learn the playbook. So next week against the Denver Broncos, when you go against Tim Tebow, he's going to be a lot better. Is he going to be the Carson Palmer of old? Probably not. He doesn't have the rapport that he had with Chad Ochocinco for the past 5 years when he was there. He had that with Ochocinco for a while. He's not going to get it with Darius Heyward-Bey and Jacoby Ford just in a couple weeks, but he's definitely going to be better. He's not going to be 3 interceptions every half. Of course not. He's going to get better, and every game he's going to get better, and that's fine if you're in a winnable division with the Chargers at 4-3. The Chiefs at 4-3, and you're at 4-3, Oakland. You all have a chance. You're in a 3-way tie for first place. Everyone in this division has a chance. With Carson Palmer improving every week, you have a great chance, especially because the Raiders have a very young, very talented receiving corps. People don't really look at Darius Heyward-Bey and give him any respect whatsoever. They think of, oh, wow, this guy's a bust. They picked him in the first round, top 10 pick, first wide receiver off the board, over Michael Crabtree. Crabtree was seen as the number one talent of the whole draft at the time, and they picked him ahead of him. But Darius Heyward-Bey quietly is having an unbelievable year. He's on pace for 1,157 yards, which is more than Roddy White, more than Andre Johnson is on pace for. All those number 2 and 3 receivers behind Calvin Johnson, who everyone loves and think, oh my gosh, they're the best receivers in football. But Darius Heyward-Bey is having a great year. Actually, last week, the Kyle Boller and Carson Palmer fiasco, he actually had 82 receiving yards. That's on pace. That would be a pace for 1,300 receiving yards if he could do that every game. And he's doing pretty much that every game. Obviously, with having Carson Palmer, that's going to help him a lot more. You have a better quarterback, a lot better than Jason Campbell, better than Kyle Boller. Clearly, a lot of people are better than Kyle Boller, you and me. But Carson Palmer is a very talented quarterback, and once he gains the great rapport and the great timing and learns the playbook with Darius Heyward-Bey, he's going to be even better than his 11:57 pace that he's on right now. Also, very underrated is Matt Forte. You probably know him for his holdout in the beginning of training camp. You know him because the Bears don't want to pay him. He wants to get paid, but he should get paid. He's on a historic pace. He's on pace for over 1,500 rushing yards this year and almost 1,000 receiving yards this year. That's tops on his team. He's the leading rusher on the team, the leading receiver on the team. He's not even a wide receiver. It's incredible. This guy's on pace for around 2,500 yards from scrimmage this season. That would be second all-time to CJ2K's 2009 campaign, where he had 2,006 rushing yards and around 500 and change receiving yards. Matt Forte, get him 2-3 more rushing or receiving yards a game. He's on pace to break that record. It's definitely a story we should be watching as the season progresses. Another story we should be keeping track of is the tight ends. There have never been 4 tight ends to eclipse the 1,000-yard plateau in a single season. No, it's never been done with Gates, with Dallas Clark, Tony Gonzalez, Kellen Winslow. It's never been done before, and this year it's not the real household names. I mean, Jason Witten, probably the one household name of the group. Then you have Jimmy Graham, who this is his first year starting. His first year starting for any football league. He used to play basketball in college. He didn't play football in college. He came to the Saints as a raw prospect. He's having a tremendous year, the leading receiver on the Saints, and he's a tight end. Also, Fred Davis of the Washington Redskins. Chris Cooley is seen as an above-average tight end, but Fred Davis completely unseated him, and now that Chris Cooley is going to be out for the season, he's on IR right now, his numbers are probably going to even go up because he's going to be on the field a lot more than he was before. So he's really a player that can get 1,000 yards, especially because he's on the pace right now. And then Rob Gronkowski, who would have thought? I mean, everyone knows he's a physical beast, but he also has a timeshare with Aaron Hernandez, another tight end on the team. Let alone you have Wes Welker there, who's the second leading receiver in the NFL. This is another story we should be watching as the season progresses. Alright, it's fine time. This week we look at Brandon Flowers of Kansas City, who got fined for using football as a prop in one of his celebrations as unsportsmanlike conduct. I'd be remiss not to talk about one of the best World Series that the MLB has seen, probably in the past decade. I'd say it's been the best one since 2001. It went 7 games. But really what we have to talk about is the NLCS MVP, the World Series MVP, David Freese. Everyone says, oh, this guy just came out of the blue, but in my opinion, that's not the case. This guy has been the real deal, big-time prospect in the Cardinals organization. Past 2-3 years. He's been a starter the past couple years, but injuries have really held him back. Actually, this year he had very close to a 300 average, and he played under 100 games. He was on pace on a per-game basis to have around 17, 18 home runs and 92 RBI. 92 RBI in a lineup that has Lance Berkman, Albert Pujols, and Mount Holliday there to just vulture all the RBI. That's pretty impressive for the third baseman in the National League. I think that this guy is a budding star, and I think that this World Series and the NLCS, this whole postseason, gives him even more confidence. And I think that if he can stay healthy, which in his case, this is a big if. He's like a Matt Stafford of baseball. If he stays healthy, he can be one of the best third basemen in the National League, I believe. When you think college football, you think big-time schools. You think Alabama, you think LSU, the number 1, number 2. You even sometimes think of the non-AQ schools. You think of Boise State, the occasional TCU. But what people really aren't talking about is the guy who has a very good chance to unseat Andrew Luck in the race for the Heisman, Case Keenum, Houston's quarterback. Case Keenum last week, a few days ago, he had a LeBron-esque performance. He went all LeBron, where he said not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, but he had 9 touchdown passes in the game. He already has 32 touchdown passes, over 3,200 yards passing. If you end the season with those numbers, you'd be in the Heisman race every single year. We're not even done with the season. We're not even that close to done with the season. Houston's undefeated, and Case Keenum's putting up these incredible numbers. He has the most touchdown passes by a lot, by 8 touchdown passes to anyone else. It's incredible the year he's having. He should not go unnoticed, and he really should be at the top of the Heisman race, right next to Andrew Luck and Trent Richardson. Talking about college football, here's my Heisman update. Number 5, I have Va-Tech's David Wilson. He's actually leading all of college football in rushing. It's not Trent Richardson. Number 4, I have Matt Barkley. Even though he lost to Stanford, he looked really good doing it, propelled himself into the Heisman race. Number 3, he's leading the NCAAF in all passing categories, Case Keenum. And number 2, Trent Richardson. He's probably the best pro prospect, not named Andrew Luck. And number 1, Andrew Luck, going to be the first pick in the draft, probably going to be the Heisman winner. Thanks for watching the Sports World. See you next week.